Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how are you?
Hey, sister, I'm doing well. I cannot complain. It's been a great, productive day. Just the weekend
Hey.
goes by too quickly, but it's been a good one.
Well, hey Sister Jody, how you doing? Thank you. We are glad to be back. So yes, last week we took a brief hiatus. Tonight we're going to talk about what in the world. So Sister's going to tell us about what in the world she was getting up into last week. And we want you to, as always, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Let folks know that you're tuning in to Hey Sister on your favorite platform and join the conversation in the comments. That is where all the action happens. So tonight we said our theme for this evening is what in the world. And honey, we have a lot of what in the world to talk about. Let's see who else is watching us. Hey Marcia, how you doing? Oh,
Hello. Hi, Marcia.
in Ohio. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that later. But yeah, sister, so tell us what in the world were you getting into last weekend that we made that decision to not go live?
Yeah, so last weekend, fellow producer and Hey Sister family, Jessica and I were in LA with our editor, working really hard to get Thibodeauville, edited and working and putting it together, putting the pieces of that puzzle together. It, I'm so excited. Like it was proof positive that it is one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy doing. But it's such a complex story. And it's like, as we'll talk about in our hot topics, these stories are just so complex, right? You know,
Hmm.
there's the on the surface story, and then there's all the other ramifications, and it's like dominoes, right? This decision caused this thing, caused this thing, caused this thing to happen, and so that domino effect. So just trying to put it together in a cohesive and comprehensive way that gives voice to maybe some topics and people that haven't had voice in the past. It's really important. So, yes, that's what we were working on. I know there are many people who have supported us with Thibodeauville, and I know that you're probably like, when is it going to come out? And honestly, we're ready for it to come out too. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that the pro the project, the final project, is something that we can all be proud of. So it is in progress.
Yes, yes. So woo-hoo-hoo, clap it up, clap
Thank
it up.
you.
I dropped there. It is a work in progress, people. We dropped in the link to their webpage if you want to go take a look. If you want to continue to support in any way. Films take a long time. I know people think, a movie that's released now, you're like, oh wow, it just came out. Well, it didn't just come out. There was a long, lengthy process that went behind the scenes to make it happen. And especially when you're doing work like documentary work, because there's so much historical context that you said. So it's not a work of fiction, right?
Right.
There's so much historical context that have to be added, those layers, those flavors. And so
And
we
don't
will
forget, if it's independent and
yes.
you're working with a limited budget and you have to keep a day job in order to help finance a passion project. So it does take some time. And I hope folks understand that.
Yes. Well, we know that it will be definitely worth the wait, and we're so very excited to continue to support you and your production team. So you guys go out there to TippettvilleFilm.com, check it out, show some love.
Yeah.
Um, uh, what in the world? So, sister, um, so much has been happening. You know, we So since we weren't here last week, we got to talk about some of the foolery from last week, and then we got the foolery from this week. And every day, I'm asking myself, what in the world's going on? Like, who are these people, and what's happening? I don't know if you feel that way on a daily basis, but I certainly do. If y'all out there and feel that way on a daily basis, please drop in the comment. What in the world? What questions do you have about what's happening out there? Because we want to make sure we give that a little Hey Sister flavor. But let's start talking about some of the foolery from last week. So, how two magazine covers sent the black community, and I won't say the black community because this black right here,
This black too was not in a frenzy.
this black right here was not in a frenzy. And actually, so first of all, let me just share a little bit let me share this right here. So, this was one of the magazine covers that sets people in a frenzy. As you see, they keep emasculating our men as this person tweeted. And I'm just going to say, one Mr. Jonathan Majors didn't look emasculated. He looked kind of emasculated to me as far as I'm concerned. I don't know about y'all, but I was like, and Kev on stage, and congratulations to him and for
Yay!
winning an NAACP Image Award. But his video take on it was like, his last five movies, he's been a fighter pilot. He's been, let's see, he's a boxer coming up in March. Um, I can't even tell you about all what he did in Lovecraft Country, but all the masculinity and to some level where it could be even viewed as he was a cowboy. Like, how much more masculine did you want this the characters that he plays to be? And I'm looking at this cover, which also
Can
is
you
a
just show the roses, by the way? I mean, why not?
oh, oh well, sure, why not? I have it all up because I appreciated Jonathan Majors. I don't know about other folks, but I appreciate the look. I appreciate it all. This that video cover, which was released before. This was for the digital magazine that was released. This cover.
And again, it's February, the month of love, the month of Valentine's Day, the month of Black
Black
History,
history.
the month of heart health, and yes,
So much more.
listen.
What you say, sister?
Here's what I had to say. Because when I first saw the Creed 3 trailer,
Uh-huh.
I
I'm gonna
was
go ahead and take
al-
a sip.
I was already like, you know, I already need to figure out in my brain how Wallace from The Wire got so fine.
Lil Wallace.
Lil Wallace got so fine.
Okay.
So I already have that to figure out.
Hmm.
Then I said, how did Jonathan Majors find a way to outfine Michael B. Jordan?
How did he do it, girl?
I don't know. And I'm like, what I do know is, as Jessica has said, I need a job that makes me work out because this is the only way I'm going to get fined. Because if it's up to me, I'm just not going to be able to eat right and do right. Uh, yeah. So Michael B. Jordan is fine. And he's been fine in every Creed movie. And yet Jonathan Majors has outfined him. I don't even know how that works. I
He
start
added
know
layers on the fine. It's like,
as I said, his muscles had muscles.
yeah.
I don't know how you even structure get like that, but I did not feel like it was emasculation in any way. I don't know what it is that the idea that somebody wearing if you have roses in your hand, or you wear pink, or you wear red, like how does that, like there's male colors. I don't, that doesn't even, I don't see the emasculation. I see a man who had on, in any other realm, with the picture that you put up, it would have been considered like haute couture, right? It's not what
Mm-hmm.
you wear every day, of course not, but like haute couture. And then with the flowers, it was like a box, because he's playing a boxer. So it was like a boxing robe kind of draped on him, but then also he giving you that romance with the I don't know what people want.
I don't know what they want either, but I also know that the other magazine cover that sent black people in a frenzy. I don't have this one pulled up. I don't know if you have it pulled up, sister.
I
But
mean, I
it
can't pull up the regular magazine, but I don't have the one with the
Well,
geometric on
pull the regular one up. Yeah, bring me the damn roses too, Julie.
it.
That's what I'm saying, honey. And wear the robe and wear the jeggings, whatever they call the boot jeans, the booty
Right.
jeans. I don't care what it was called. Brother looked good. And not only that, he is a master of his craft. Like he is so talented. So I quite frankly in feeling everything that he was putting down, that Ebony was putting down in the magazine. And I'm kind of, you know, it is fine for everyone to have their own opinion and thought and feeling about something, but that doesn't make you right.
Right.
It's just your thought, your opinion, and your feeling. So, what in the world are you doing trying to impose it on all of the rest of us as if it is a fact? Now, there are some things that are facts, right? Like we said, math equations are factual, right? Like you know there's a right answer. But in this case, it's art. And he's an artist who is at the top of his craft. And honey, looking good doing it. And he is, as Amber on Abbott Elementary say, you're doing it well. I'm just saying, he is doing it well. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, do
Okay,
you
I
have the
have
other
it.
magazine
I do. I
cover?
have it coming up, but I don't know why this is moving so slowly. But anyway, let's go. Let me
So
see.
let's talk about this other cover that sent the blacks, not this black, but the blacks into a frenzy this week that we were out. It
Let's
is
see.
one post her Super Bowl performance. You got her all the pictures, honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is the one.
This is the one of one Robin Rihanna Fenty with her man and her baby on This is British Vogue. And people have broke this down. I wish I had the foolery where they tried to dissect because he's leaning back and he's hunched, he's submissive, and she's out front. And
Now this was the
shut
one.
up.
Listen, the hands. They're holding hands. I I do not mean to be crass, but the person who analyzed it referred to the positioning of their hands as cock shaming. And I promise I had never heard that ever in life. And I was like, it, it, it I don't know. It takes a special kind of analysis to have put that, because she's in front and she's leading and she has the hardened face and he's got the soft face. I mean, as so much to go into, and he's holding the baby. It was like, that feels like a very some very primitive thoughts.
As you say, Marcia, so ridiculous. I loved it too. I loved everything about it. It shows a family. It shows love and adoration. A black man kissing his black boy. You talk about some black boy joy or some black mama happiness over here. I loved every moment of it. And again, just because you have a feeling, first, before you take that feeling and turning into a thought, or that thought turns into a feeling and become a belief, maybe you need to examine, where is this coming from inside of me? Am I struggling with the fact that I didn't receive that type of affection from a man? Am I struggling with the men in my life who don't have the confidence to put on a pink robe of made of roses? I mean, what you dealing with in your life before you start spouting it all out there as if the rest of us, I mean, I'm so, oh, there you found it, girl. You found it. Look at that foolishness.
Yeah, so Calvin said, so here we go. So shoulders back, chest out, strong, dominant, masculine woman. She is the leader, hard face. And then we have soft face and slouching, submissive, nurturing, feminine man, cock shame. He is the follower. And I cannot even see what it says about the baby here at this point up there.
But we know soon after they, because you, again, there's time and space. So let's talk about this. So, one, is a photo shoot. There's a photographer who is leading, like, hey, do this, move this. If you've ever done a photo shoot, let's talk about that. Some people have not, so they don't know what was happening there. That's number one. Number two, we know we were talking earlier about the time and space in terms of doing a movie and editing. So we know somewhere between when they did that and the Super Bowl, sis got hit up one more time.
No,
Okay?
she was already pregnant. That's one of the things she said. She didn't realize it's like, oh, how beautiful is this? Because I didn't even realize that both of my babies are in this picture. So did you
Oh,
talk
that's
about that?
right. Yeah, girl. So again, that baby small, small. They holding that baby like this. That baby ain't even walking yet. She was already
But
getting up second time.
they also had people also had an issue with Rihanna saying my baby is fine. And as some people pointed out, like especially if you grew up in the South, I mean Louisiana, we say a fine. It's how did that become
Sexualized.
sexualized? Okay, maybe when I was talking about Jonathan Majors, maybe, but
And
as
when
a
you were talking
baby,
about Lil Wallace, like Lil Wallace grew up now. Like we
right,
know when he was Lil Wallace, we was like, oh, but now Lil Wallace is fine. Okay.
right. But as a baby, it's just like when you have a healthy, beautiful baby, little chunky thighs and stuff. To say her baby is fine, and folks analyze that comment too. All right. So yeah.
Well, first of all, fine means of high quality. So before you start analyzing things, just check yourself. What's going on inside of you? Because their whole family is fine and they doing just fine on that $1 billion. Okay. Oh wow. Wow. I am glad I was born in 1960. All right. I appreciate that, Kim. Because people are what? Stupid. Yeah, Jody, I feel that. And that's one thing that I really would hope we get away from. But since we talked about stupid, we might as well keep on rolling on one U.S. Congresswoman named Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about the national divorce. So, again, our theme tonight, what in the world? What in the world is this chick talking about, sister?
I wish you hadn't asked me because I don't have an answer. I don't know what she's talking about. I for a party of individuals who swear they all about family values, I'm not even sure why divorce is something we're bringing up. But
Come on with it. Please, please speak on it maybe because she just got one.
no, no, not Marjorie. So she gonna drop the green? She just gonna be Marjorie Taylor, or does she
Yeah.
still gotta be Taylor Green? Okay, so it's ridiculous. I am convinced that there is a lesson that God wants me to learn here, and I just gotta keep praying for Him to teach me whatever it is that He wants me to learn.
Hilarious. Ain't that the lady who had on the fur looking like she just left the good for the State of the Union? Yes.
Howling at the State of the Union in
Hmm.
her chinchilla light fur. Yes. So so the
Craziness
national
indeed. The
so
national divorce.
we're divorcing red states and blue states. And I mean, if you want to show what you just showed from CNN, but the point is, I'm trying to understand how are we defining a red state versus a blue state, because I mean, is that based on who you voted for president? Is that based on who you voted for governor, or your governor's current party? Is that based on the population of registered Democrats versus registered Republicans? Like, and if you do
Well,
that, if this divorce were actually to happen, are we not? Do we yet recognize that New York and California have like the largest um,
GDP.
GDPs of all the states? So if they divorce the rest of this country, uh, it's a lot of financial implications here. So I'm just not sure. I just be thinking people are just talking to say they just want to hear themselves say something. She wants to hear herself, and people. I'm gonna blame Kanye. You know what? When you start putting in songs stuff about being provocative, clearly that's what everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to just throw stuff out there to be quote unquote provocative. Because really and truly, this it doesn't make sense, but it also, as they pointed out on CNN, so your state voted for Joe Biden. So does that make Georgia blue or red? I don't
I'm gonna let
understand.
y'all watch it for yourselves. I dropped the link there in the comments because we're not gonna give it no airtime here. Because, but what we do need to do is ask ourselves, what in the world, and be concerned about people who listen to this rhetoric and then go to the voting booth. About people who listen to this rhetoric and then decide to take up arms. About people who listen to this rhetoric and they're in legislators right now and on school boards, directly impacting our lives every day. That is what we have to be concerned about and ask what in the world and get activated around, because she is dangerous. She is dangerous. The rhetoric is dangerous. And we need to be very conscientious and aware and stay woke. Now, let's talk about that for a minute, sister. Can we talk about woke
Yeah,
for a
sure.
minute? Let's talk about woke for a minute. What we sick and tired of, I mean, you appropriate everything. So you want to appropriate this word and want to make it a negative connotation. But let's talk about being woke. Being woke means that you are aware. Being woke means that you are
Not
conscious,
asleep. Yes.
that you are not asleep. I mean, there's just so many basic things. But there's a reason why people don't want you to be woke, or they have weaponized the word woke and wokeness. It is, once again, it is a dog whistle for black and blackness.
Even
However,
more than that, it's a dog whistle for black and blackness, but I also think it's a dog whistle for anyone who doesn't subscribe to these quote unquote, and I hate using this term, but conservative views, because there is supposed to be again, looking at the, we are the party of this. We only subscribe to this. So anybody who doesn't subscribe to what I subscribe to and what I believe in, then you are the enemy. And I'm gonna just call you woke, because that means your wokeness is a detriment to me and my beliefs. So it is a dog whistle to beyond just blackness, but anyone who questions why we are trying to legislate, for example, a woman's uterus.
mhm.
So yeah, I think it goes even deeper than blackness.
Well, you might be correct. And they do have a habit of rolling things up. But what we do know is that the term woke was in stay woke. I mean,
Oh
shout
yeah.
out to Childish Gambino. That came directly out of the black community. And as the in here in the state of Florida and the legislation and things that be about woke rhetoric or woke education, anything in which it is a consciousness aware raising. Like literally, there's a bill trying to reform all manner of education. So if you have children who are in college age, I wouldn't send them to nary one of these schools if these bills get passed. Um, that really wants to, I mean, even take away gender studies because they open up you to being woke. I'm like, what? What is really happening here? We have some more comments. You can't make sense of some of the things said by those party people, party members, not party people, not those party people. Um, it's very dangerous, ignorance, absolutely, and they are delusional. And that's the thing. I don't believe that it is ignorance because ignorance is when you don't know something. I think this is conscientious stupidity. I don't believe that is ignorance because ignorance can be solved. Ignorance can be solved by learning something. Ignorance can be solved by having empathy for others and others' experiences and worldviews. Just because we do things wrong for a very long time does not make them right. And so I posted something earlier this week in my random thoughts and ruminations on Facebook. Was like just because something is legal doesn't make it right or moral,
Right.
right? It's not doesn't make it just because it was legal to own me at one point in time, as if I was not a sentient being that deserved respect. And I think we need to just be very conscious and aware and woke and not allow people to continue to take words, phrases, colloquialisms, whatever it is from our community, and then try to weaponize them against us. So
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
I agree with that. I'm gonna drop a link here really quickly, sister. This is a film that I watched. It's a very short, like a documentary short. It's up for an Oscar, Stranger at the Gate, and it is from Malala. She's executive producer, and it is about a gentleman, white man, former Marine who served overseas, and as a result of his service, he became um, very anti-Muslim, right? And this is about when you were talking about the danger of someone
Mhm.
like Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's and the danger of that rhetoric. This gentleman, in effect, was taught to hate these people, and because of all of his service, he could not. I mean, he was triggered by his daughter coming home saying that um, her classmate's mother came to pick him up from school and she had on a head covering. She had on a hijab. So he was so triggered by that that he decided that he was going to um, blow up a local Muslim uh, temple.
Mhm.
And ultimately, his life changes because these people showed him such level of compassion. But it was like the idea that, like you said, this rhetoric, it gets very, very dangerous. We're not talking about, you're suggesting you call it a national divorce. No, what you're suggesting, as many have said, is you're suggesting civil war. You're suggesting that this nation separates because we don't agree with your ideology. Just like this nation separated because, whether or not folks want to admit it, because of the issue of enslavement. Now, Was everybody's motives genuine, and was it goodwill and altruistic? No. Some A lot of it was purely economics, and it was a matter of we don't want them over there having more than what we have over here. But as you said, everything that's legal is not always right. Enslavement was not right. And it's not right now to sit here and say, and now we can't talk about it. We're not going to talk about it
About it.
because it makes me uncomfortable. Well, Black Americans, Native and Indigenous people, um, Chinese Americans, there's a lot of folks who have been uncomfortable for many, many years. And that does not give us the right to negate or attempt to negate what has happened on American soil. So that stranger at the gate just shows exactly how dangerous this rhetoric can be. And so
Mhm.
I hope, I had really hoped that the people of Georgia, I hope they get rid of Marjorie Taylor Greene and anybody of her ilk. I hope that the MAGA crowd, prayerfully, started with the Tea Party, now the MAGA crowd, I hope that they are going out of style because people see we can't win being of that mindset. That's my hope.
Well, you know what's even more dangerous is folks like Nimrata and Tim Scott.
Hmm.
And if y'all don't know who Nimrata Haley is she also known as Nikki Haley.
Okay. Okay.
You know, that's like Payush, or
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna just throw Payush
also known
Jindal in there.
also known as Bobby Jindal from Louisiana. They are equally as dangerous because they say it because they are people of color, one of Indian heritage, the other American of African descent.
Tim Scott, yeah.
Tim Scott from South Carolina. They're equally as dangerous because they give breath and life to this foolishness. Now, what needs to be clear and understood, and you know, if this is being woke, well then hell, I'm woke. That multiple things can be true, but they have twisted this narrative about victimhood, right? Or the left and the progressives is all about identity politics. Everything about who we are as human beings is wrapped up in our identity. It's wrapped up in our communities. It's wrapped up in how we navigate this world together, the systems in which we're in. You know, all of those things. The identity is wrapped up in all of that. So on one hand, they're like, oh well, they're all about identity. And so we don't want to be about that because then they make you a victim. Nobody's a victim.
Mhm.
But there are some things that are true and that are facts. It is a fact. It is a documented and it's a demonstrable fact that someone who classifies themselves as white, because the truth is we all human, and I've been saying that since I was a little bit of kid. Um, but someone who classifies themselves as white, who has a high school diploma, makes more than someone who classifies themselves as black, who has a college degree. There's income gaps and disparities. There have been redlining in all manner of things. Because those things are true, don't mean I'm a victim, but they are facts and they are real things that impact my experience and my ability to navigate in this society. And so, what I'm sick of is for those on, again, identity, right and left, for
Mhm.
those who classify themselves as being conservative, whatever the hell that means, on the right, twisting or even taking that two things can be true at the same time, and not being smart enough to have a nuanced and balanced conversation about the realities. So Nemrata is going to say, yes, look what I did in my state. I helped take down the South Carolina flag. Yes, after people was protesting and about to burn the stuff down,
Well,
right?
after Dylan Ruth
After Dylan Roof
shot up
killed people,
Mother Emanuel. Yeah,
massacred
yeah.
9 black people at a church. And so yes, I immediately took action. But then I also went to work for a man who um talked about people being from shithole countries and that
Hmm.
there were good people on both sides. Nemrata is dangerous. Tim Scott is dangerous. They're equally as dangerous as Marjorie Taylor Greene. It just comes off in better packaging. And I don't even know if it's the packaging is better.
Right.
So moving on to the next topic. Woo, sister. Now I never was a fan of Dilbert, but I know that
Well,
if
more people
you
aren't going to be a fan of it because it's gotten canceled, dropped. But continue.
drop by many, not by all, let's say that.
No.
So one Mr. Scott Adams, who is a cartoonist. Yes, you're fired. He's out of there. So one Mr. Dilbert, the Scott Adams is a cartoonist of the Dilbert magazines. If you've worked in any type of training or human resources, you have seen or probably had borne witness to some Dilbert comics that have been used in those settings. Um, and so Mr. Scott Adams went on this rant. Thank you for dropping the link.
That's
We're
a
not going.
newspaper article. You can.
I ain't playing that video. Mm-mm.
Okay.
We can find the video and drop that in there. But in essence, what he said was,
Well, I'll give you some gems.
"Oh, drop a few gems," because basically he said he tired of y'all Negroes, but he didn't say that. He just said the blacks, the
He
blacks.
said that black people were a hate group based on
He
some survey that was taken, a
A
poll that was
survey that he
taken.
read, yes.
I guess,
One survey that he read. Go ahead, sister.
yeah, I don't remember what. Um, so this says in the video from Tuesday that led to backlash, Mr. Adams, who is white, said he had started identifying as black years ago, and then brought up a poll by Rasmussen Reports that found that 53% of black Americans agreed with the statement, "It's okay to be white." Rasmussen Report did not, blah blah blah. So he says that's a hate group. I don't want to have anything to do with them. He said, adding that it makes no sense to help black Americans if you're white. And yeah, he went on to say, "Two white people, just get the hell away from them." Here's the thing: we don't need your help, sir. And
I
if
want to
you,
know who he helped. His name ain't Mackenzie Scott. Now, Mackenzie Scott, I know who she helped. Okay? Mackenzie
right,
Scott, we know what Mackenzie has done. Okay? Shout out
right.
to Mackenzie Scott Foundation. All right? What have you done, sir?
Well, I don't. If did you help because you decided to identify as black? And I believe you were just talking about the victim thing. I don't. I don't know the full context, but I
And he
feel
said
like.
he moved into a neighborhood, which you probably have lived in segregated neighborhoods the majority of your life, but he moved into a neighborhood where there were fewer of them.
Hmm.
That them thing.
Yeah, I look at the end of the day. Nobody again. Nobody was checking for Dilbert, guy, Sky Adams. No one was checking for you. So now you've come out. You've said your stuff. You said that white people just get the hell away from them, as in black people, because we're a hate group. Okay, fine. People like you, I would want you to stay a hell away from me because you don't mean me any good, and you don't mean other black people any good. And if you think that, again, calling yourself identifying as black is some sort of help to me or to other black people, it's not.
Like, how
because
was that helping us?
I I, I don't know. I feel like that victim terminology came up, so I don't know. But why would you have started identifying as black in the first place? Not sure. Um, but so now you want to be white again. You're identifying as white again. But so USA Network had TV Today, USA Today newspaper network has canceled him. So that's like 200 newspapers across the country. And so now he's talking about, okay, well, he's going to immediately, I guess, you know, in that show on Saturday, he defended his remarks. He said that he was wrongly being canceled, that you should, quote, you should absolutely be racist whenever it's to your advantage, unquote, and that any change in society is a, quote, racist change, including changing the tax codes. He also appeared to be reckoning with the rapid fallout, saying that, quote, most of my income will be gone by next week and that my reputation for the rest of my life is destroyed, end quote. You should have thought
And
about that. Yeah, I don't. Listen, the way my life is set up, I can't be worried about you losing your full income because you decided. Nobody told you to wake up, even if you had the thoughts. Sometimes it's
absolutely no one was checking for him.
right. And sometimes it's okay for you to have thoughts at your house in the privacy of your home. But you decided to have it on a public in a public forum. So when you had it in a public forum, then people have the right to vote with their eyeballs and vote with their pockets. And apparently these newspapers say, "Hey, we don't even want to have this dude a part of our situation because we don't want the fallout to us." So if you felt like being racist was to your advantage, then enjoy that advantage, take that advantage, and go sit down somewhere. Again, I don't I don't need you if you are if you want to encourage white people to stay the hell away from black people, I encourage you to take your own advice and do that because if you if you run up on the wrong black person spewing the things that you're saying, you gonna f around and find out. So you should take your own advice, sir.
Again, just because you feel something doesn't make it true, right, or accurate. We can't even get into a complex or a multi-layered conversation about the realities and the multiple realities of people's experiences and how they have to navigate and move through this world. So Scott Adams, I mean, I don't even know, like, what did he want to accomplish that day?
Right.
What did you want to accomplish? And I dropped another article in there because Elon Musk, of course, because that train ain't never late, as they say. What's his name? My
Right.
boy, what's my boy name? Clay Kane say on Urban View. That train ain't never late, honey. That racism train ain't never late because here comes Elon Musk to the rescue
Right.
to say that, oh no, people shouldn't have done this to him. They wrong. Newspapers are wrong for dropping him. But it goes back to something that we were talking about earlier when we were saying, what in the world? What in the world prompts someone to, because see, this is the thing that's connected, which folks don't understand. And see, we didn't talk about this, how old boy had to get they remixed old boy in the courthouse up in Buffalo. But what Scott Adams said and the rhetoric he spewed, you can draw a through line to a kid. And I'm gonna say kid. I'm gonna say a young person, young adult. Maybe I won't use kid because then that's trying to say that immature in some way, shape, or form because he knew exactly what he's doing. Go and shooting up a bunch of people at a grocery store in Buffalo, because
So
that is the same thought process, but it came in a different packaging. It came in someone who's supposed to be a cartoonist, a satirist, someone who's supposed to have awareness and knowing. And he gets on and does this video and goes on and on, like he like Too Short. He couldn't stop. He just can't, because he just couldn't stop. He went on and on and on and on and on and on. You can have the feelings that you want, but if you never pause to examine, why am I feeling this way? What am I experiencing? What's going on inside of me that has me get up on Al Gore's internet, and I'm just gonna say it all over to the world, and then say, well, if you want to call me a racist, you can. Well, that's what we're gonna do, and that's why your income is about to cease. Thank you very
well,
much. You gave us permission. Thank you.
that part. And let me just add about your little friend Elon. Elon, if you agree, then help your boy out. Send him some money. Cause I
Drop
don't
him a
think
bill. But
that.
since you've been losing money, because Twitter is
But here's the
struggling
thing.
in the mo.
Obviously, he ain't losing it enough. Cause this is what I know. The reason why you want to talk about the newspapers was wrong, Elon, for dropping him. No, the newspapers weren't wrong. The newspapers made an economic decision. They had to weigh the pros and cons of keeping him versus losing more subscribers because we know that newspapers are already a
Struggling.
struggling medium, right? So they had to make an economic decision and they chose the viewership or the readership that they have, right? So they decided we're going to lose you. So Elon, keep talking. I so hope, so hope that Twitter tanks in a way that all those folks who have been let go of, especially the brothers and sisters who now are starting their own things, I want those new creatives to be uber successful. Sisters and brothers who want these doggone Teslas that keep crashing into stuff. One was just crashing into a building, caught a fire the other day here in Phoenix. Stop buying these things. When you start, I guarantee you, if folks started voting more with their dollars towards Elon Musk and his subpar products as well, he'd be singing a very different tune too. But see, the economics ain't hit him that hard.
It ain't hit
The
them yet, and
economics have
because
hit a
folks,
few people hard
it,
enough that you see we ain't heard from Kanye in how many weeks?
mm, yeah.
It ain't hit him yet. But
Well, I know that as we have talked about and looked at about getting an electric vehicle, honey, we waiting till all others come to the market, because I refuse to do Tesla.
oh, absolutely. I refuse to.
Absolutely.
I don't even
And
want to be behind them because again, folks want to just keep putting that automatic. Okay, keep putting that automatic driving function on, and
mhm.
they locking up, and they causing accidents, and they running into stuff, and they're
That's
spontaneously catching a fire. He makes
combusting,
us he's
spontaneously combusting.
combusting and he's making a subpar product. You know why? Because you're worried about the wrong things, Elon. You ought to be over there trying to figure out what's happening with these vehicles instead of trying to defend this man, who Scott Adams, who at the end of the day, if he was as worried about his livelihood as you seem to be worried about, he would have kept his mouth closed.
Shut. Yes, absolutely. Ooh, we got another what in the world. And her name is not Rachel, but Raquel.
Yeah, I heard about that, Kiana. I was going to throw that out there too. Because they
Well,
losing.
let's see. Adidas signed a deal back with Ye because of the, yeah.
And I guarantee you he happy. And
But as I said earlier, this black right here ain't supporting none of it. There's enough black owned businesses, black owned products. that you can get your consumerism on within that network and build up and fortify in that network. Because I do believe that it's really, as Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. So if you show me who you are, I'm not going back and give you my money.
Right. Girl, in these tough times, girl, whew, I
Let's talk
definitely
about
cannot.
Raquel real fast before we talk about. Oh,
Hey,
okay. So
Rocky. Hey, Rocky.
Rachel Dolezal 2.0. So if y'all don't know about Rachel Dolezal, several years ago now was an activist. She was in charge of actually president of the NAACP chapter there and many things. But her parents came out and said, "Oh no, she ain't black, she white." She had been living as a black woman, and there's been a lot of comedy, talk about a lot of fallout, talk about really talk about economic impact. um but now it's been discovered that another one, in the words of what's his name, DJ Khaled, another
Another
one,
one.
another one, activist, um who has been faking her Arab and Latin racial identity, or her ethnic identity, I would say, because we are one race, and that is the human race. I'm sick of y'all with that foolishness. But her ethnic identity, Arab and Latin, as far back as 2004, and honey, she was all the way with the hijab and everything, honey. Um, but she also, Rachel Elizabeth Seidel. Yeah. Um,
Also, Rachel.
yeah. Mm, That's how she was born, but she changed her name. So what in the world, sister? I don't even know what to say about this. What do you think? Especially since Scott Adams, he also said he was identifying as black. We like, where's her? Where?
Again, they
What
want
what
our
do you
rhythm.
think about this?
They want our rhythm, but not our blues. I'm not sure how you're identifying as black, but you're doing. I mean, let me give Rachel her credit. At least Rachel Dolezal did serve in the community. I'm not sure what these other folks are doing. Okay,
Well, Raquel,
Raquel.
Raquel was a DEI expert, equity inclusion officer. Okay.
Well, Raquel Avita
The
Saraswati.
Philadelphia Now Chapter Woman of the Year, which is the national organization of women. Yes, honey, she got all the awards and everything. Yes.
Outed as white last week after claiming for years that she was of Latin, South Asian, and Arab descent. Now, look, I had to. Her parents claim that she has European heritage. Now, here's the thing.
We
As
got European heritage.
everybody does, because colonization. But anyway,
I mean, but see, you have to be smart to know that. Like, you got to be woke, you know what I mean, to kind of know that fact. But
so
go ahead.
here's what I'll say. You mentioned that race is a man-made concept. Race is this. It's not scientific. It is just a social
Social
construct,
construct. Yes.
right? What isn't, in my opinion, a social construct is culture,
Mm-hmm.
ethnicity,
Mm-hmm.
heritage. And I
Mm-hmm.
do think that um, in thinking about the Muslim piece, it was interesting because she could be Muslim. She may have actually converted to Islam. I don't
Mm-hmm.
so that piece I was like, okay. A Latina. Now, are we talking about Spanish or are we speaking about Puerto Rican, Mexican, Dominican? Because her mother said she's of European descent.
Mm-hmm.
Spanish is European.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that Latina for real? No, but it's Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the South Asian piece, right? So I think
Because everybody want to be Kamala Harris. Huh?
right.
I'm just saying.
No, they had pictures of her celebrating Kamala, whatever. I had to. I was asking myself what exactly was she suggesting that she was, and so this some guy I think in these comments, I don't know, they had said something about her mom had said that she was German, or they listed some things. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to look it up. But the point is, but how do they know? Because here's the thing: unless they've done a DNA test, and we know even the DNA tests are kind of interesting. It's all based on probability, right? It's not. There's no definitive way to say, oh, your people came from. They're looking at migratory patterns, and it's like suggested that you are probably of this or that, right? But what we know for sure is that white people in Louisiana and in South Carolina have more African ancestry than white people in any other states.
Mm-hmm.
There are white supremacists right now
Mm-hmm.
who have found out about their African ancestry
Mm-hmm.
and will not cop to it. I say all that to say I'm not I unless her mother has taken a DNA test, and unless she has taken a DNA test, and we can say right off the bat she is lying about all of this, to say she's her mama saying she's white as a driven snow, what does that really mean? What
What
does
does
that
it
really
mean?
mean? Because you're not telling me if you had said, okay, look, Raquel is actually 50% German, 20%, this, whatever. Then I would be like, oh, okay, I got it. But just telling me she's white as a driven stone, well, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people who are quote unquote white in this country who do not acknowledge any ancestry outside of their Anglo ancestry. And that doesn't make it again right. Um, by definition, by the US Census, people who are from Egypt are considered Caucasian in the US Census. We know Egypt is on the continent of Africa. Kev on stage not Kev on stage, I'm sorry, Kevin Hart just got canceled because he referred to Egyptians as black, and it was too black, and they were like, nah, you can't perform here.
But let's go to this. So if you are a fan of the show, Finding Your Roots on
Right.
PBS, I'ma just drop this one. If you haven't watched, y'all know Joe Magniello from, I think he was on True Blood, but he's also married to, what's my girl name from Modern Family? What's her name?
I don't know. Quickly, this person said mother says she is of British, German, and Italian descent. Now, again, if you've been to Italy, especially if you're from, if you know, Italy ain't, southern Italy is really close to North Africa.
Well, don't y'all know
And,
about Hannibal? Cause y'all ain't
and
woke. Y'all don't know how Hannibal went up into Italy. You don't know about how the Moors in Spain. Like, what do you? Cause y'all ain't woke. Y'all ain't taking no history class. Sofia Vergara, that is who is married to Joe Magniello. Y'all
okay,
watch this episode on Joe Magniello, cause they always had the thing in the family, and they were like, "No, dude, y'all African." Like, because his daddy had his daddy. They never knew, and it was like, no, that wasn't his daddy. Y'all black, and you black, boo. And he was like, wow. Watch that episode, and then watch the episode with Angela Davis, and they tell her, well, no, your people came over on the Mayflower, sis. And Davis wasn't even the name because, again, her mother was a foster child, so it was this whole no identity, right? And knowing who and where she, what her heritage and lineage is. So I'm just like you said, uh,
we
but people
cannot
don't
look
want
at
us to get
color. We cannot look at people's skin color
right.
and determine their ethnic background or their countries of origin or their DNA. That's what we can't do. And I'm not defending Chick. Maybe she just outright right lying. But like I said, according to this person, I don't know this person, but it's they just commented. Her mother says she is British, German, and Italian descent. Um, maybe.
Or she could have been doing all of that to get a certain job because she did a certain study. And I mean, hell, George Santos of it all.
Yeah, and so then that was the other thing. I was like, why we mad at Raquel? We still ain't we this she just doing DEI work, and if you doing DEI work and it's work and like and you making progress, I'm all for it. This dude is sitting up in Congress lying about everything
Everything.
from the rooter to the tutor. So that feels way more dangerous to me. But I mean, go ahead, Raquel. Listen, I'm
Rachel 2.0.
Rachel 2.0, Raquel. Listen, because here's what I do know. In the United States of America, to this day, it is not easy to be black and it's not easy to be Muslim. And so for these women
To
who
choose.
to choose to be black and to be Muslim, I just got to say, I mean,
That just says how much it that says how much flavor it is being on that other side. Anyway. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of What in the World. So what in the world are you looking forward to this week, sister? 'Cause
uh,
we didn't even talk about Joe going over there to we didn't even get into Joe going over there to Ukraine. We didn't even get into this train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Them lying to the people about the safety. Oh, the administration wasn't there fast enough, but y'all the same people who don't want government in your lives. Like we ain't get into the what in the world about that. But then Trump comes to the McDonald's and y'all so happy to see him because that's Trump country, yes, but all the deregulation and rules they put in place is probably a contributing factor to the reason why you have this. But what in the
and now
world, child?
everybody's sick, and now everybody's sick, and you're gonna expect somebody to help take
No,
care of
you
your
gonna want
illness.
that, but but since y'all a red state, I say, well, what about the divorce? And if y'all, California don't send no money to New York, because that's the thing, California, New York, other quote unquote blue states, they are the largest tax base and contributing tax base to the federal government. So in instances like this, when we have these natural disasters, but will Norfolk Southern, I think it's Norfolk, I can't remember which
I
train
think so.
company it is. Yeah, will they go out of business? Who knows? They said they're gonna be on scene and they're gonna wait till sir, you will not be probably alive when every person who has had a health problem related to this is going to be experienced and or manifested. It took them how many years fighting for the firefighters and the first responders who had deleterious health effects from 9/11.
Love
It took
Yeah.
till 2022 for that legislation to pass. So yeah, they got a Republican governor. So maybe he wanted to divorce and say, "Don't bring people to jail. We really don't want you here. We don't want we really don't want the the federal support."
They do.
There's no one ever.
No one ever. Yeah, it's a lot of what in the world, but what am I looking forward to this week? Uh Waking up every morning. Starting
Hey,
a new day.
hallelujah.
And
Yes.
I think that is more than enough.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I'm looking forward to doing some more planning. I dropped the link in there to my women's conference. It's coming up. And
I
so,
registered.
woohoo! So I'm looking for more planning there this week. And I'm just looking forward to also just continually to challenge myself to think beyond myself.
Hmm.
And I challenge everyone to do the same. So with that, we're going to sign off. Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.